Hello, everyone. Sarah here with sarahpacaro.com. Today, I want to talk about something that we were talking about in one of my private containers, and that is divine downloads and spiritual wisdom. And it's big, and this is juicy. We were talking about experiences of having divine downloads. Some call it channeling, some call it just receiving. Channeling is a really popular word, I think, in the spiritual realm and world. And sometimes it is that you experience, like, you go through this portal and the answers are there, and your mind is open and your mind is aligned and your mind is clear, and it feels like your mind is aligned with God. Your mind is aligned. And when you are, when your energy is, when your soul is, when your heart is postured in the right place, in the right position, that's when it feels like things are working. Like things are working rapidly, things are working exponentially, things are working very, very quickly, faster than you could have ever imagined them being. It feels like you're on track. And if you look at this, it feels like you're not going like this anymore. You're not lost, you're not wondering where you're wandering out in the wilderness. It just feels like they're lined up, they're straight, like they're dominoes, and they're all positioned properly, and one falls, and that causes this chain reaction of experience for this thing to happen, this thing to happen, this thing to happen, this thing to happen, and then this, and then this, and then this. And then you get here and you look back and you're like, whoa, in order for that to happen, that had to happen, that had to happen, this connection was made, and then this portal opened, this channel opened, this frequency. And I feel like I was in line with this frequency. I feel like all these things just happened, and they happen so quickly. If you look at dominoes and they're stacked in a line precisely, perfectly, you can see how quickly they fall, how quickly one affects the other, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. And when you're in that position, it no longer feels like, let's go with this analogy and this metaphor because this is what came up. If life is like dominoes, right? We have life is like metaphors all the time. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And if you're anything like me, you fucking hate those box of chocolates. They're disgusting. They're like the worst gift that someone could give you. The unknown, even when you have the little paper that says this one is this and this one is this, and you're like, oh, that sounds okay. And you take a bite into it and you spit it out faster than you bit into it because it's just disgusting. That was horrible because they're disgusting. They're cheap. Like maybe there's one good one in there, like the salted caramel one with sea salt on it. And you're like, okay, that one was good. Like that one out of how many? And it can feel like this in your relationships. Like how many frogs did you kiss before you found the prince? There's metaphors and there's analogies and there's movies and there's stories and there's tales of all kinds of these experiences through life. But if we're going to go with the analogy and the metaphor that life is like dominoes, it can feel like they're perfectly lined up and everything is smooth, and every like one affects the other and affects the other. But sometimes it can feel like your life is like dominoes. You're trying to get things in alignment, you're trying to get things in the right order so that happens. You're trying to get these divine downloads and open up these portals and these channels, and in the yoga world they call it chakras or energy centers. And we know that when they're stuck with muck, when they're full of guck, then nothing can get through them. The energy is displaced. The energy has to go another direction. It's kind of like dominoes. Maybe you have five stacked here, and then it takes all energy to knock this one over, and then those five knock over, and things are good for a while, but then it feels like it stops, and you're like, what happened? Oh my God, things were good for a while and now they're so bad. What happened? Why did this goodness stop? How can I get the goodness back? Because we all desire to experience the goodness in our lives and the moving and the opening and the receiving of the things that we desire. And a lot of us in the spiritual manifestation world are on that path. How can I get more of that? We're on the path of more. And then we feel stuck, we feel stopped, and we feel blocked. And we can physically feel it in our bodies. Sometimes it's in the form of tension and headaches, and sometimes it's in the form of our throat and the inability to speak, or not believing that we have a place or a voice or a place to use our voice. And sometimes it feels like, okay, I'm gonna build. Again, I'm going to put some more dominoes here. When I put these dominoes here, okay, we've got 10 in a row. I can see this, and I think that this is going to go this way. And then we knock over one, and then it knocks over the second, and then the wind comes and it turns it, and so it doesn't quite knock over the third. And you're like, what is going on? What is going wrong? I really have mascara right here. And then that's okay. That's all part of this fun process. But when we were talking about this, it can feel like if you're looking at this opportunity that you've been given and you're looking back in hindsight and you're not looking back in regret and you're out of this victim state and mentality, you can see how the space that you were in had all these just little chunks of dominoes everywhere, and things would fall, things would go good, and you're like, okay, but they weren't connected in the way that I desire now to experience being connected with myself, being connected with God, being connected with others, and feeling safe being connected. And it's almost like I'm at this state where I want to put the dominoes back up, and I know that that's going to take work, but I just fear that it's going to be like it was. I fear that it's going to always be like it's always been. And a lot of times that's the fear. I fear that it's always going to be the way it's always been, but we desire to experience it being different than it was, and to trust in the process. Trust in, if I restack all these dominoes, how can I know that they're going to be in a line, and maybe not exactly in a straight line, but you've seen those really cool diagrams and they're like in these amazing lines and they go different directions, but they go in a way that it's supposed to go. And they go over here, they go over there, and it's like, that was amazing. That was so cool. I want to do that again. And that's like the ride of our life, right? But we get tired of having like little bits and pieces, little chunks, and little parts that just seem to be sporadic. There doesn't seem to be any flow to them. It seems to take a lot of work, time, effort, attention, money, energy to keep building them back up again. And we don't get this beautiful experience of flow in our lives. And that's what we ultimately desire. And so we're on this quest to create that. How can I create that? It seems like other people have that. And from the position that we're in, from the view that we have, we can see that other people seem to have that thing that we desire. So there must be a way. It must be possible. And we get out of the state of energy, the energy of jealousy and envy, and we get into the state of desire. Instead of being jealous that I don't have that, I desire to have that, and seeing them have it and live it and experience it and build it and create it, I know it's available for me. So, how do I get from here to here? And that is all about this opening up and channeling and getting into alignment with the path and the purpose that is laid for you, because that's for them, that's their path and their purpose. And try to go in and figure out how to live someone else's life is out of alignment with the way that you were created to live your life, if that makes sense. But a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us are stuck in that. Okay, I wish that you could just take me and put me in their life. And this is a lot of times what social media creates. And our discussion went this way. It's, we follow people, we're inspired by people, and we desire to be like others, but we miss out on the truth that we were created to be us, fully, wholly, completely us. And if they're living in their full, complete essence, where they're fully, wholly, and completely them, like whole, WHOLE, and it doesn't, it seems like they've healed those holes, right? And a lot of us have past wounds, unprocessed, unhealed wounds from the past, where it feels like we've been stabbed in the back, we've been screwed over, and it feels like there's a gaping hole inside of us, a void inside of us. It's still oozing, still wounded, still bleeding, and we're bleeding on the people that didn't cut us. We're not giving ourselves the opportunity or the ability to heal that, so that it is a scar and a story of a time that's past, but it's still, now we're festering in it, now it's getting infected, and now it's impacting others around us, and they may be trying to help us, but we're making them sick with our own sickness. And a lot of times people get stuck in that kind of internal muck. And so the process of really getting clear on your channel and your purpose begins with healing your internal wounds. It begins with addressing the infection, getting to the core and getting to the root of it. And it's not just slapping a band-aid on it and saying, okay, cross your fingers, go play, you'll be okay. It's like understanding that when you do that, you just slapped a band-aid on something that needs a lot more. We need to understand, where is this infection coming from? We need to get into it and remove the infection. And really, that infection is run through the beliefs in our mind, the beliefs that we have about ourselves when we compare, when we see other people's lives, other people's passion, other people's purpose, other people's drive, other people's success. We get into this and we're like, I want to be like that. We weren't called to be like another person. We were called to be us. And this process of channeling and opening and healing and cleansing and restoring is also the process of removing the internal negativity, the negativity and the unconscious beliefs that's causing the emotional infection, we'll call it. And it really is about that. And once that is healed, and once that is cleansed and removed and restored and refilled with powerful, positive, present beliefs about who you are and where you are currently, presently, in this day, in this time, in this moment, then and only then do things shift. And then you can still see those people and their experiences on social media. And instead of jealousy and envy, it becomes passion, it becomes fuel for your fire, the fuel that lights your desire, the fuel that says, if they can do it, I can too, but I'm going to do it my way, the way that I've been called to. And that way is special and purposeful and unique for you. It's not their way, because if it was, they'd be doing it that way, and they're doing it their way. And a lot of times we say, I want it that way. I want it that way. Tell me why. And we're like, tell me why. I just can't have it right now, the same way that they have it. Because you're not meant to. You're meant to have it the way that you were created and designed to have it. And that is the process of clearing out your channels, clearing out your portals so that they're crystal clear, so that things can move and flow through you. It's like a faucet, right? You've all had the faucet, like a sink that, like, especially if you're a girl, hair gets in there, gunk gets in there, it turns black. You're like, how does this turn black? When I brush my teeth, my toothpaste is white. I don't understand this process. But when I clean it and clear it out, like all this black chunky stuff comes out. I don't understand. And we're not meant to understand all of it. Yes, it's mold and it molds. We get that part. But the same process is true for our bodies. It's like a sink, and you got to put the little thing in there and get it out so that when you turn on the faucet, things can be smooth and flow and move and go through you. Things that are meant for you, not get stuck in the gunk and the muck. But so many of us are living with stuck gunk and muck inside of us. And then we're wondering, why can't I have it that way? And we're like pointing to others, and in our pain of not having it that way, which is an indication of a desire to have it a different way, we're blaming them. And we're projecting our pain onto other people, and we're saying, well, and then all these limiting stories come in our head, like, well, I can't because I didn't come from this kind of family. Well, I can't because I've been labeled with this kind of diagnosis. Well, I can't because of all the limiting things, I believe. And that's really what it comes down to, is clearing out those negative, damaging, limiting, internal, unconscious beliefs to open up the portal, the gateway, and the channel to experiencing and receiving the things that you desire, and knowing you can have it, but you're going to have it your way. You're going to have it in a way that makes sense for the alignment of your passion, your purpose, your drive, and your desire. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So that was the basis of our call today. It was such a beautiful experience. And so I invite you to experience that. If you're ready for this and you're ready to remove and clear out and cleanse and clean that internal muck and gunk from your unconscious beliefs to get in alignment with the things that your soul truly desires, with your passion and your purpose, and you're someone who says, I know that I'm not a victim anymore. Like, I know I'm not a victim of my circumstances. I've stopped blaming my parents. I've stopped blaming the system. I've stopped blaming that person and that person, but I still am living with this and I'm ready to remove it. Then I would love to connect with you. Until then, you probably need to go through more processes to get you to see that it's you. I know I personally had to do this, and it was not a fun experience, but it was one that without, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I had to realize through a multitude of narcissistic relationships that I was the common denominator, that external relationship was a match and a mirror and a reflection externally of the relationship that I had with myself internally. So this work that I do with people isn't for everyone and isn't understood by everyone. But for those it's for, it is understood by. And those are the people who are ready to go inside, like truly go inside, get to the core and get to the root of what is going on internally and completely remove, cleanse, clear all of that negativity and completely transform their lives. So, if that is you, I would love to connect with you. You can find out more at sarahpacaro.com or using the links below. Love you guys. Bye for now.